jokes in a speech often doesn't work. Spontaneous humour is just super. Right, this could be really good for you, so listen up. Possibly the best thing you've ever heard. I once heard this as an introduction to a speech in a big theatre about the environment. Man got up and he said, at the beginning of the speech, the world's population is exploding. There are more people alive today than have ever died. And he stopped and looked around. And everybody stopped, because that was really startling. It's also a complete twaddle, doesn't matter about it. There are about 7 million people alive today, and if you count it all up, we've probably passed 7 billion deaths before Christ was born, and there are, probably about 115 billion deaths. But did he get the attention of the audience? I can tell you, they all sat up and listened. And they listened to the rest as he went through and admitted that what he said wasn't entirely true. But it's an introduction, and a lot of speech construction is about how you grab the attention of the audience right from the start. So that's a little message in the speech construction that I want to give. This is just informal. Every once in a while, we just do one of these little workshops. We just remind ourselves what we're doing and the steps that we need to go through, and the whole objective of what we're going to do is to build our ability to speak, and at the end of the day, everybody has their own personal sort of objective in this. As you go through the assignments, you build up confidence. I think the objective has to be that you can use humour in your speech effectively. Assuming all the rest happens, you can use humour in your speech, a little humour effectively, and you can speak without notes. Because when you speak without notes, you have a much bigger impact on the audience. Now, I've seen some really great speakers, including the people who run this organisation, who, at national level are really, really good, who speak with notes. But I think it's never quite as good. So that's my personal objective, and I have always had a problem with that, because by trade I'm a lawyer, and speaking with notes and getting everything dead right is absolutely buried inside me. But a speech doesn't have to be like that. You can create the framework of your speech, do your notes, get it in your head, stand up and speak. You won't say exactly what you wrote down, you never do. But it's okay, it doesn't matter. Speech will be good. What I'm going to talk about today is based on a little presentation that was given by a great lady called Sheila Parsons, who used to be a member of our club. She was an absolutely brilliant speaker. She used to work for the BBC, and she just had a magic way of speaking. I can't convey it. But she said 3 things that always stuck with me. First of all, she said a speech is a presentation. It's a package. It's a package of things. People think in chunks, and they receive information in chunks. And you remember certain things from a speech, and you don't remember all of the words. Now, Angela gave a speech last time about her dog handling, and I can remember quite a lot of that speech from the actions that she gave in relation to the dogs, how to make the dog sit down, how to make it sit, how to make it stay. I don't remember all of it, but I remember those, because those were the memorable bits. So speech construction is partly about making sure that your speech contains memorable bits. It's not just words. People fall asleep. Are you still awake? Yes. Speech is a presentation. It's a package of little chunks of ideas. First point. Secondly, how you say it matters as much as what you say, because people are taken, watch politicians, if you can bear it these days, in Parliament, the presentation they give, the aura that they create. How you say it is as important sometimes as what you say. And Sheila's great thing was that the introduction is the most important part. Are they going to listen? She said you've got 7 seconds in an introduction. If you're a primary school teacher, probably less than that. 7 seconds before they decide whether they're just going to watch out the window or remember what time EastEnders is on tomorrow night or whatever. 7 seconds to grab the audience and make them think that what you're going to say is worthwhile. turn the paper over until I tell you it's a 3-hour exam. Just pass those along. And there will be one for you there.
Thank you, Matt.
Is that enough? Sorry, guys, you just showed at the end. There you go. You're going with that. Yes. So I just wanted to go through, this is the speaker's guide, and the speaker's guide really, despite all the fact that there are different assignments, it is all about how to construct a speech. And if you look down at this little piece of paper, in here are the assignments that we all go through to learn how to improve what we say. F1, which Angela did last time, making a start. You just stand up and you give a speech about yourself. And it might last 3 minutes, 5 minutes, or 8 minutes. It doesn't really matter. We usually work on the basis that a speech is about 6 to 8 minutes long. The second assignment is speech construction. So you're climbing up the ladder and understanding how things should be. Speech construction, which I'll come to in a moment. Once you've done that, the next challenge is speak with conviction. You choose something that you really feel strongly about, and you speak about it, and you convince the audience, either to stand with you or against you, it doesn't really matter, but you ought to speak with conviction. And the next one, F4, is how to use gestures and body language. Now, gestures are quite difficult, actually, to make sure that what you're saying is relevant to what you're saying, and not just arm waving or hand wringing, which we all do once in a while. It's just one of those things with people. And the next one is use of voice. And that's really important. Goes back to my great mentor, Sheila, again. Use of voice, pace, pitch, tone. Vary your voice. People can't listen to a voice droning on for very long. They'll just turn off. So those are the steps in our foundation certificate of achievement. And they're all about speech construction in different ways. And then you go on to the next step. The next ladder is a bit steeper. In A1, you introduce vocabulary and word pictures and show the audience how you can think about things and explain things in a graphic way. Storytelling and narrative in the next exercise. Then on to using humor. Using humor doesn't mean telling jokes. We are not stand-up comedians. It means what went round the table before. Little spontaneous humor, just to keep things going. Then you're getting really close to the top, audience rapport, how to grab the audience and keep them with you. I hope I'm doing that. You're not asleep, are you, John? And finally, you do the showpiece. You do the speech that pulls it all together. So those are the steps we go through this program in assignment. It's all about speech construction in different ways. Right, turn the paper over and start the exam. Speech construction.
Time.
How long to make a speech? Some people struggle with this, and me more than anyone, because I always have too much to say and too much detail to put into a speech. 8-minute speech is 600 words. If you're doing it on a word processor, you can do the word count on it. 600 words at slightly less than 100 words a minute, which is what I'm doing now, is quite enough. Any more than that, and you are just rattling through and you will lose your audience. So don't try to cram too much into the speech. Introduction, it says engage the audience. 7 seconds. 1, 2, then you're done. Introduction then. Engage the audience. 7 seconds. What can you do? Original, unexpected, powerful. Something that grabs people's attention. More people are buying in the world today. It's nonsense, but people sit up and take notice. Or state an idea, or ask a question. Why are we all here? What are we doing here? Then on to the main part of the speech. This is the important part of speech construction. This is where you either develop the ideas in the speech, or else you just kind of drone on and fall off the end. The people who wrote this book, who've been doing this for a long time, said you've got to do with the main part of the speech. You've got to develop the idea. You've told them what the idea is. You've you're going to develop the idea. Some people say never do more than 5 points in your speech to develop the idea progressively, logically. Some say, John and remember, she used to say 3. 3 is enough for a speech. It varies. The important thing is that when you make a speech, it's like moving along. Again, another Shivaism. She used to say, solving a problem and making a speech is just the same. It's like picking up a stick with a number of notches in. You work your way along the notches. By the time you got to the middle of the stick, you should have solved the problem. The only problem is the person who's got hold of the other end of the stick will have a different view to you. So solving problems with a stick is not easy, but it's the same idea. You work your way along progressively. And you have to show that you've got a line of reasoning. If you're arguing something, you've got to show that there's a line of reasoning, and the points you're making go through the line of reasoning and develop you to a conclusion. And in the conclusion, you summarize the main points, don't go over the speech again, you summarize the main points, 2 or 3 things that just focus back on the idea of the speech. And if you can, it's good to repeat the idea or what you said right at the beginning. You know, so there you are. I told you there were more people alive in the world today, and now I've proved it. Even though it's rubbish. Okay, speech construction. The reason I put it in little boxes is partly because I'm a lawyer and we love things in little boxes. But I want it to stand out for you. I want it to stand out so that when you look at it, you think title, introduction, main part, conclusion. That's how. It's just like being back at primary school, isn't it? How do you write an essay? Beginning, middle, end. Nothing changes in life. Okay. So, those are the basic ideas of speech construction, and what I want to do now is, I have actually, if the technology works, got a video for you. Will it?
Well, I don't know, but you can try
it.
It's plugged in.
It's plugged in.
It's plugged in, but, you know, so that it works.
Can I play this for you?
Yes, of course. So, you know,
that's another thing about speech construction. The technology is always a worry, isn't it?
We'll have to see if we can. Unfortunately, you won't be able to see it probably.
Sorry, Brian, but you've heard enough of me over the years. But this guy's much better, actually.
Yeah.
This is not me.
Will it be on here?
Yeah, transcendee.
No, you can't connect it then.
Got my laptop.
Oh, I know. You can see, of course, yes. I forgot I'm facing it.
I've got my laptop.
Well, let's say that it should be, what was this little thing?
It's called transcendee. That's not the hardest thing.
Isn't that this one? No.
Yeah, some idea that you had about something, I mean, from a book or a novel, or maybe you just had a hard time standing in the queue in Asda, and some funny things happen to you, and you can jot down an idea, and then you can jot down a few words that relate to that idea, and then you can start to construct a speech. Just the outline. And probably you'll move on from it, you'll do something else, you'll improve it enormously, but it's a beginning. And often the hardest thing with making a speech is the beginning. So, for those of you who just might want to try it while I wrestle with the IT, do you want to just pick up a pen and see if you can do something with that?
Shall I bring a lot of pens? Do we have pens? I'll bring pens.
I think it brings, if you look at speech construction, everything about developing a persona to give a speech and amusing people and everything else that we aspire to. For me, this one does it. Didn't actually win. I can show you another time, or somebody else can, the guy who won, because they thought he had slightly better speech construction. There you go. So the other one is super duper, but this one's really, really good. So I had imagined it might go on the bigger screen, but it won't, my lady, will it?
No.
So I'm sorry.
Sorry.
This is the best we've got.
I will check tomorrow and practice before the next meeting. I shall will be straightforward because it worked last time.
Without you, ladies and gentlemen, the fruit of the gods are brewing. Does it actually exist? And it's so very question, what does it taste like? All of these questions will be answered in the next few minutes. And to that end, we need to go on a journey. The journey back through the mists of time. Back to the time
speech, or?
Oh, no.
He'd prepared
That was
that.
prepared, and he won second place in the national competition. It was an unorthodox speech. But the thing I wanted to share with you about it is, first of all, his presence, which is absolutely fantastic, I think. He just owns the stage. 500 people in the audience, he just owns the stage. He doesn't tell any jokes. They're not jokes. He just says things funny. He doesn't say funny things, he says things funny. And his voice varies and emphasizes, and his pace is absolutely spot on, isn't it? You listen to every word. 500 people in the audience, and he held their heads, all of them. I think it shows all of the points of speech making. It happens to be a funny speech, and no one could give that speech except a Scotsman, otherwise they'd be up for racism, wouldn't they? But to me, it illustrates all the points of how to do it that are in the book. If you think about it, from his descriptions of the batter and on, everything, use of humour, voice, absolutely everything, absolutely on. We have a few others that are probably just as good, but I thought you might enjoy that one tonight. So, that is my conclusion. I look forward to hearing your speeches. Are prepared already.